A serious problem with student athletes today is mental health. Joining with me today is Miss Lanesha Reagan, former Oregon State volleyball player. Lanesha, you have inspired a lot of people with your blog posts and just being a voice for mental health. Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So I published a blog post early last year, and it was kind of spur of the moment. I didn't really think about the reaction that it would get, and it basically just detailed about how I struggled with depression and self-harm and an eating disorder throughout middle school, high school. And I think my main reason for posting it was just because I felt like I was the only person going through it, even though logically I knew that wasn't true. But the thing with mental health is that it just kind of like eats away at your logical thought. And I posted it just so I could I guess have that weight off my shoulders, and my goal wasn't to have other people relate to me, even though that felt great to know that other people were in the same position that I was. But it definitely wasn't my intention in the first place. I would never wish somebody else to feel the way I felt for so long and feel silenced, but I think the coming together that happened after was so great. And being an athlete, I think, adds an extra layer of pressure. I mean, just going through any struggles in high school, it's kind of a terrible age to go through anything. Absolutely. And so then moving straight into college and having added pressure of being an elite athlete and constantly having to be perfect in so many other ways just made it feel so much more alone and isolated. Even within a small team of, I think I had 16 my freshman year, you still feel like you're all by yourself and the only person that's going through something, even though you're not. And so I wanted to talk about my story because I feel like it is important, and it is something that a lot of people don't notice, because you can put on such a front of just being happy all the time and pretending like you are, that you yourself either push down the emotions that you're actually feeling, or you just choose to hide it from other people. And I didn't want other people to have to do that, because it's not healthy.
Absolutely. And so you said something about putting on a front. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, obviously me knowing who you are, when you walk around campus, you see you're happy, you always seem cheery, if anything, you put a smile on a lot of people's faces, and you're seen as a very positive person, and then once that came out, even me, I was super surprised, like you said, you put on the front. And so can you just talk a little bit about that, and for people who are going through it, what's the best way you think that they can at least maybe express themselves, or, at least help others out, with this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think putting on the front was more so me in high school. I think during the 16, 17-year-old age, I really just pretended like I was okay all the time just by overcompensating. I would be extremely happy in situations where it wasn't necessarily appropriate, I guess, and I would just keep pretending like nothing bothered me at all. Like, I never really cried. I was never just a really emotional person. Like, none of my friends would describe me as that. I was always the happy-go-lucky girl, popular, I guess, in a sense, and one of the only people from my school in my grade that was going D1. No one had any reason to suspect I was upset ever, and so I just kind of played into that role that people fed to me and I thought that I needed to be. And I think once I moved into college, I kind of felt like I could be a new person. Even though I am the same person, it's just not wanting to be fake and not wanting to have that front that I have to put on all the time. And I think people that are going through it understand what I'm saying, because there is this perception of athletes having it great, you don't want to be an athlete, you don't want to be an athlete and complain about anything, because we get so many great things and opportunities that complaining about an issue that might not seem prevalent is just another thing that athletes complain about, and nobody wants to be that person.
Exactly. You don't want to be ungrateful.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to be ungrateful for all the great things we do have, and we do. It's just the smaller issues that maybe are just hidden back in the back of your head just aren't touched on as much, but that doesn't mean they're not important. Exactly. And so, I mean, yeah.
Okay, because I just know, being a male, you can give the female perspective, but being a male, there's a stigma that we always have to be tough. We have to be, these big, strong guys who, don't show emotion, and especially being, a Division I football player like I was, it's you walk into this building and you have to be tough, because if not, there's always someone who wants your spot. There's always someone who, really just want, like I said, just wants your spot, and someone who would rather be there than you. So I felt like, I couldn't, there's no way for me to complain because I couldn't, there's too much stuff that I went through, to be able to get here, working hard and all that, put that behind me. I put all that behind me just to be grateful for this. And so I know, I personally didn't experience, something like you did, but just because I know there has to be people out there that experience stuff like that, and I know, male or female, regardless, people go through it. But especially at a student athlete level, regardless what level, Division I to D3, it's it's a serious topic, and just the fact that you could come out and talk to people about that, it inspired someone like me to even go out and inspire and try to be a voice for people, for men who are going through that, because it's a tough thing to go through. Like I said, I personally didn't experience it, but I could only imagine, because even if there's times that I'm down about life, about class, about whatever it was, I didn't want to say anything about it, because you come into this building, you come in here, you go to football practice or whatever that may be, you go to weights, you have to be tough, and that's that's what men are raised to do, is be tough.
No, for sure, and I think that's the culture of being a male. Obviously, I've never done that. Like, I don't know what it's like to be on a football team, but just from my friends that I talked to, we've talked, and just the culture that, especially big sports like football, basketball, baseball, the sports that bring in a lot of money, you have this idea that you have to be perfect and you have to do everything your coaches are asking of you, and your professors and your parents, friends. And I think building up men so that they have no capacity for showing emotion or showing that they are struggling or need help is really negative, and it's only going to cause people to hide it away more. Just because you don't have the option for them to talk about it doesn't mean that they're not having issues. And I think suppressing that is even more unhealthy, because when you suppress it, what happens? You just push it down, and you never get the opportunity to finally talk about it. That's how I felt when I was 16, 17. I felt like I just couldn't talk about it. But to move into college, I haven't had those types of feelings for a long time, and I can't even imagine being in a culture where I felt like I couldn't talk about it, and that it was a negative emotion if I'm a male and I'm playing football, and it is super competitive. It's obviously I was on the volleyball team, and it is competitive, but I just feel like the cultures between male and female sports are so different. When you talk about coaching, the way people coach women is a lot different than the way they coach men.
Exactly.
So I think helping create a new culture, not that the old culture is definitely bad, but creating a culture where people, specifically men, are allowed to talk about their feelings and are allowed to say, hey, I'm having a bad day for whatever reason. It can be mental health issues, personal life, anything, is something that we should be trying to do and trying to build, because having student athletes that can actually talk about their issues within their team to their coaches without fear of being judged or being benched is so important, so people can finally open up and have a frank discussion about it.
Absolutely, and I just think the fact that as men we're just raised to be tough, like I was saying, like you said, these coaches are coaching us a lot different than they would in volleyball.
Yeah.
It's every day, you're not getting yelled at, but it's just you're held to a extremely high standard to perform. You're held to an extremely high standard to be, in class, emotionally, everything. And after a while, the weight gets, all that weight on your shoulders is just tough. And so, like I was saying, a lot of guys just don't want to seem weak, and they don't want to seem, like they're complaining. But I just think the fact that you have opened up doors for a lot of men and females, just in general with this whole topic, I think it's great. I just want to say thank you so much, Lanesha, for giving me your time and to sit down and just talk to you really about a problem that's extremely serious, and that people really do not understand. Yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.